we go. I'd like to take a minute here to give you a very specific tip on playing the piece Flow by Benjamin Dean Taylor. He calls for an effect here that we're not used to seeing, although I suspect we'll see more of it in the future, which is a glissando or a smear, like a trombone smear where they move the slide slowly and can make a gradual change between notes. That's obviously harder on a valved instrument. Trumpet players are used to doing this because it's called for in jazz or commercial music. Euphonium players, not so much. It's also a little harder on the euphonium because of the large bore and the conical bore. It's a little more difficult to perform them for technical reasons. In addition, the ones he's got written here are hard for me to perform, and I do some glisses sometimes. If you've watched the videos I play of popular tunes especially, every now and then you'll see me do that between two notes. Usually it's when I'm changing a note. I'm doing the gliss with only the valve that's required to change a note. So I lift it a little more slowly than usual. You have to practice the rate at which you move it and what your air and chops have to do, but that's fairly easy to get if you want to do it. In this case, though, it doesn't work. The thing is, well, partly because they go down, and going down on a gliss is a little harder on the euphonium. The first one starts on an F. I'm trying to find a rate and do I do more at the top or the bottom of the stroke, for example, to get it smooth? I can't make it work. So I'll abandon that approach and try something different. Rather than smearing with the valves that are already engaged, I'm going to just move this one slightly, move the fourth valve a little bit. Let's demonstrate with a slur from an open note to an open note. Normally I'd use one or two of these three valves. Like that. But this time I'm going to try to do that just with the fourth valve. There we go. In order to smooth that out, I had to figure out how far to move the fourth valve. If this is the whole range of travel, I tried sort of this far. That wasn't working. It actually worked better to move less far, and that smoothed it out. That's all experimentation you'll need to do, and it's not just the only way to do it on an instrument. It's the way that works for these chops on this instrument with this mouthpiece. It'll vary depending on your equipment and your chop, so you experiment with this. Now the first written slur is from a concert F to a concert E, or a G to F sharp in treble clef. Here's the natural slur with no gliss. Now I'm going to add the fourth valve. I'm going to start the gliss early so that I can bring my pitch down before I actually move the valve, and then have it gradually come out of the way just as I'm moving the valve down. That's the idea anyway. We'll see if it works. That wasn't bad. The next one is from an E flat to a D, or an F to an E in treble clef. This one will give me more trouble, so I'm going to try not changing the valve for now and just bending the pitch just to get that part right with the fourth valve. The last one was pretty good, getting there. The timing involved is how the fourth valve comes up, exactly when it comes up relative to when the first valve is going down. So as I said, it takes a lot of experimentation, but I think that might be the key to making these glissandos all work and all sound similar. Otherwise, if you're using the natural fingerings and adjusting those and the valve motions of those, they'll sound a little bit different in each one. So I believe I've given you the secret keys to the kingdom on how to make that work. It's actually a trick I hadn't thought of until I tried to do this myself the way I'd always done glisses, and it just wasn't working. Maybe there's a way to do it with the natural fingerings, but I could not find it. In addition to the natural fingerings, I could do that same where I'm moving from first to open, for example. I could use one of these two to try and accomplish the same things. But for some reason, I like having the separation now with the left hand, where normally that causes us problems if we're crossing fingers between the two hands. The independence of the left hand means I don't have to coordinate one of these two fingers or both of them with my lifting of the first finger. That's what I find anyway. You may find something different works for you, but give that a try. I think it might work. And in any case, if I were going to do this, that is exactly what I'd do. I'd have to practice it quite a bit more. But as with any technique that's new to you, it requires more practice. Playing a staccato, playing a mezzo forte, playing an accent in this piece. I've done a lot of that over my life, and I just have to fit them together to make them sound like I want to in context here. Playing a glissando is something I've done much less often, although I have fooled around with it, and I have used it as I mentioned. Playing a glissando in this context, in a downward direction, I've never done before because I thought it was impossible to do it correctly. Well, with the fourth valve tip, for me, that might make it possible. See if that works for you. Thanks for listening.